do appreciate you guys listening to this on Balls of the Wall, episode 43. If you could subscribe to us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor, just hit the subscribe button on there and make a comment. We greatly appreciate that. It'll help us out tremendously. I did want to go to a real spot here. We talked a little bit about Nick Saban last week, about being the GOAT. Funny how Kirby Smart signs his contract this offseason and he gets $11.2 million. And the guys down there in Tuscaloosa say, you know what? We can't have anybody making a little more money than the GOAT. So they signed Nick Saban to a 4-year extension that averages $11.7 million a year. The only reason I bring this up is that I was watching one of my favorite people is the Mad Dog, Chris Russo. You see him on First Take now. He's got his own show on Sirius. The Mad Dog. He went on and said he thought that Ara Parseghian was a better football coach than Nick Saban. I agree with Chris Russo on a lot of things. I really do. I bring a lot of his opinions to our show here. But that one,
not on this one.
That one, I don't know if that was shock value, but he is way out left field on that one. I mean, 7 national championships. Parseghian's got how many? 2? 1? I mean, I know they're different eras. I understand all that. But you've got to put the Bear in that conversation before you put anybody else to go up against Nick Saban.
Sure. And you could say that he's probably benefited from a lot of what the Bear, laid out there but come on, to just continuously, be preseason ranked in the top 3 every year and to do what he's done. No, that's absolute greatness, and we're watching it.
I'm hoping that there was an empty bottle of Everclear next to him when he made that statement. And then I'll forgive. I will forgive. I did want to touch on a couple of recent deaths that we had here that's kind of sad. I know you know about Tom Weiskopf, who had passed at age 79. I know, Billy, you and I, that's kind of our heyday of watching golf with, Jack and Trevino, and Weiskopf was always up in that conversation with them too. And, Billy, North, Tom Weiskopf, I called him kind of the 2000s Jim Furyk. He seemed like he was just always on the leaderboard. He did not win as much as he probably wanted to, but seemed like he was just cashing big checks after big checks because he was just one great shot hitter. He wasn't a long driver, but his iron game was almost spotless, and he really looked Ohio guy that looked up to Jack Nicklaus, and I think Jack Nicklaus got in his head a few times when they went head to head on the back 9, but he had a great career and he was a great guy.
Yeah, it was, to me, one of the big differences in the game back then is you felt like you knew the whole leaderboard.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah,
you knew those guys were going to keep their guard, that they were going to be up, that we were going to see the same names fighting for it every week. And it's changed because there are just so many great players now.
Yeah. We've lost that.
Nobody's fault. It's just the game's globally grown so much.
And equipment's had a lot to do with that too. I think about the equipment these guys were using. You probably wouldn't use their putters even at a putt golf right now that they were using then. But it's I really like that era because I really thought that the short games were so intensive then. Because you didn't have these guys hitting it as long. So, they won tournaments with their irons, the chipping and, in the greens, that kind of thing. So I think it was more of a shot making. It was more shot making then, as opposed to just sitting up here and just firing off on a tee and hoping that you get it up too close to the hole. Back then they had to make some shots. And it was always good to see. I always say that was one of the greatest eras in sports is the '70s in golf, because you even had Palmer, in that time frame too. That was still, I know it was the back end of his career, but he was still competitive with Jack Nicklaus. It was a great era in golf, and I'm glad I got to see it. I guess that's the good thing about being 55. I still remember it. So another death that was came out, and Billy, it's probably a little closer to home to you, is Coach Gary Gaines out there at Odessa Permian passed this past week. Obviously from Friday Night Lights kind of, took over him as, being the coach out there in Permian, out there in the prairie lands out there. 73 years old. He was a great coach. Obviously, it seems like his legacy lives a little bit more than probably what it actually was due to the movie. But, it's great to see, he was, Booby and all those guys. The movie is what it is, but still, it's you hate to see those pioneers in Texas high school football go away.
Well, but those kind of guys never totally go away, do they?
No, they don't.
They're going to have guys like us talking about them for years and years. And,
yes,
part of the legacy.
Yes, it is. And today, as we tape, it's on Wednesday here this week. The great Hall of Fame quarterback Len Dawson passed. He was one of my idols. Played on I find it hard to believe that he played with the Steelers. First the Steelers actually had him on their roster. And it's unbelievable that 5 years it took him to get to Kansas City. But boy, when he went to the AFL, his career took off with Hank Stram. The Chiefs were just as good as anybody for a decade there. They had a Hall of Fame defense, and Len Dawson was kind of he was the Bart Starr of the Chiefs, is what I call it. And not many people are going to say anything bad about that guy. But I also tell people that, one other thing, he was a Hall of Fame announcer too. He used to work news. He worked the local nightly, I believe it was ABC News affiliate. During his playing days, he would actually interview his teammates, after practice in a suit and everything. Can you imagine like Troy Aikman interviewing Emmitt Smith after practice? For sports, it's kind of crazy to me. But, he went on that HBO series with Nick Monicani, which we talked a little off camera. That's how we got highlights. Yes, Howard Cosell gave us highlights on Monday night, but he didn't give us all the teams. But you got to watch that HBO show, and we got to see highlights of all the games. He was a great guy, and you hate to see that. Lived a long life. He's 87 years old. I kind of caught wind last week that he went into hospital, so I kind of knew it was going to be pretty imminent. But yeah, the great Lenny Dawson. And I think one thing, he may be underrated as a great quarterback to me.
Well. Maybe as an announcer too, because he was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys that I didn't really, as a kid, pay attention to him as a player the way I should have. And when I found out that he also played and started doing some research, went, wow, man, this guy was really good.
Yeah, he was really
I wonder what would have happened had he stayed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You ever think about
that? Yeah. Well, let's just say this. The decade of the 60s was not kind to my Pittsburgh Steelers. So he may have had a shorter career because of it. Because he had some pretty talented teams up there in Kansas City and had a coach that really wanted to run the football too, which made him great. I think that was the reason why Bart Starr and Lenny Dawson were great, because both of their coaches wanted to make sure that their teams could run the football, which, you run the football, you already make your quarterback better, already, just because you're able to do that. But, I just want to say, can you find one person to say one negative thing about Lenny Dawson? Please email or text me, because that guy went out on top, and he's got a great legacy for sure as a human being.
Yep.
I know you've got to go. I've got a quick thumbs up and quick thumbs down. First, I'll go with the thumbs down, and this really makes me just have tired head. The Brooklyn Nets. I'm tired of Kevin Durant. I'm tired of Kyrie Irving. They said they want to leave, not leave. Then the Nets come up there and say, let's go out to LA and appease Durant and bring him back. Can they just go away, Billy? Can they just go away? They get under my burr. I saddle on my burr big time. I'm just tired.
I am too. It feels just like it is. It's phony. It's a sales job. It's
babysitting. It's coaxing. It's appeasing these egos of these multi-million-dollar players. And to me, before this year, I really didn't have anything negative to say about Kevin Durant. I really, really didn't. The guy was a gamer. He was probably the second best player in the NBA at the time. I mean, he's got championships. I mean, he's a University of Texas alum, and me being an OU guy, I can't stand him, but I really couldn't say anything bad about him. I had major respect for him, but now I think he's a big baby. I really think he's a big baby now. I mean, what did the Nets do? They appeased him. They brought in Kyrie Irving. They brought in all these players to come in and play. It didn't work out. Then he wants to bail. Because it didn't work. I want to go to another team. I want to go back to Golden State. You've already did that once. That act's become tiresome, and you left Golden State. It was a huge mistake for him to leave Golden State the first time. You don't go back to him the second time. But anyway, I am tired of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Just go away. It's not basketball season anyway. I don't want to hear from you guys. And Kyrie Irving, go get your shot. You can't play half a season anymore for your NBA team and expect you guys to be good. I know there's a whole lot of the shot isn't right, whatever it is. It's hurting 11 other guys when you're not in the lineup because of the shot. If it was an individual sport, you only hurt yourself. I have no problem with it. But go get your shot and play ball. Shut up and play ball. That's all I want you to do. Can you do that for Kenny? That's all I ask. And on a lighter note, thumbs up. Sister Jean. Remember Sister Jean for Loyola Chicago, the basketball team a few years ago? She was sitting on the bench for them for the line when they made their run to the Final Four. She turned 103. 103, Billy Martin Jr. That is unbelievable to me to think that she's been on this earth for over a century. She still looks pretty good, healthy-wise. I mean, it's unbelievable. God blesses some people with great genetics. And Sister Jean, man, keep rolling at 103. I mean, I think about your mom. She's still running around. We think about, our parents that are still here on this earth. 103 is unbelievable to me.
Yeah. Ask me in half a decade how we're feeling.
Yeah. No kidding. And she's got 35 more years on top of that. That's crazy to me. I mean, 103. I mean, whew, more power to her. I mean, that's amazing to me. I mean, she's a post World War I lady, but I mean, good gosh, that's just, more power to him, man. And it's great that she can still be kind of the face of the Loyola Chicago basketball team too. That was a great story when it happened 4 years ago. So yes, major props to her. But Billy, hey, I know you need to run. Thanks so much. We got this in here in about 35 minutes. You get out of here to your appointment. We want to thank everybody for listening to Balls to the Wall, episode number 43. We'll be back with you guys next week. Have a great weekend and enjoy high school football. It's here.
Go get it, guys.